Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Talk to the Expert series from Spectrum Autism. Today we have Mrs. Saradha Easwaran, founder of Sarvae Jana consultancy in Coimbatore. So, the Spectrum Autism is an autism awareness group which was started on 1st February, and we are entering into our 9th month. And for autism awareness, the group does Spotlight Saturday, where we spotlight experts and advocates of autism awareness. We have Mom Day Monday, where we highlight mothers of awesome kids, and Fab Dad Friday, where the dads get highlighted. We are doing a lot for inclusive visibility, and we have done 3 musical extravaganzas and 3 art fests, which is included inclusive children. And today, our guest, Saradha ma'am, she has a path-breaking vision to see all schools as schools for all. Welcome, ma'am. Saradha ma'am is a bachelor in rehabilitation science with a B.Ed and M.Ed in special education. She is an alumni of Holy Cross College, Trichy, and she is a transdisciplinary rehabilitation and special education consultant who advocates for inclusive education and early intervention.
Thank you for
She has a consultancy firm,
opportunity.
Sarvae Jana consultancy, and she gives FTP training for colleges, train the trainer programs for schools, and she's also a motivational speaker and storyteller. Her programs have helped many schools in Coimbatore, Madurai, Salem, Chennai, and Trichy. She does online workshops on shadow teaching, and she's also a guest lecturer in many colleges. Welcome, ma'am. Saradha ma'am.
Hi Umayal. Looks like Saradha ma'am internet is playing a little trick on us. So hi, good evening everyone. My name is Shivali and I work with Umayal to work on this project of creating awareness. So Umayal, this conversation is going to be about shadow teacher, is it?
Yes, it is about shadow teachers.
Okay, so while ma'am will take some time, let's discuss on what a shadow teacher is. Oh, she's here. Good. Yeah. I'm putting her back.
Thank you for your patience and giving me that cool time. There is some network glitch, I think, here.
So, ma'am.
Can I? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Can you tell us about who is a shadow teacher?
Yeah. A shadow teacher is a professional service. It is usually rendered, it should be rendered by a special educator. A special educator having completed her B.Ed in special education, preferably with multidisability, will be the right person to be here. And graduates in rehabilitation science, masters in rehabilitation science or bachelors in rehabilitation science can also do this service to the level, because it needs a complete understanding about disability and its implications, pedagogy and its strategies. So to handle the child for his disability, a background in education with special education and rehabilitation would do the best.
So how will they be able to help the child in the classroom?
Please come again.
How shadow teachers will be able to help a special child in the classroom?
Yeah. A shadow teacher is usually misunderstood to be like spoon feeding the child with a disability or with the differences in learning. But A shadow teacher is the person who can liaise between the regular teacher and the child with learning differences and prompt him to move towards independence. So it is the role that where she has to help the child to move towards independence or at least reduce the degree of dependency. So this is how a shadow teacher has to take her role in the inclusive classroom, where she liaises between the family, the regular teacher, the school authority, and the child with learning difference, and keeps in the path of making the child becoming more independent. Am I answering your question?
Yes, ma'am. So if we introduce one child, adult for one child in the classroom, there will be issues with other children wanting their own adults in the classroom. So how do we handle this situation in the class? So how do we set up? What is the precautions we need to take?
Yeah, the precaution is simple, like the attitude of acceptance from both the regular teacher and the shadow teacher. Yes, both the regular teacher and shadow teacher need to have the understanding that every child in the classroom is a child first. Every child wants themselves to be addressed or recognized first. So the shadow teacher should keep always mindful that she is not for that single child for whom she is identified for the need to be addressed. She has to have a cohesive relationship. She has to embrace every child inside the class.
So she
Where
will
the
be a
children,
co-teacher instead of one for one particular child, a co-teacher in the classroom.
yeah, she can be a co-teacher, but she should not come away from the track of being the shadow teacher, because she has her own duties of watching the child, observing the child for his needs, and indicating the needs, or indicating his advocating his or her need to the regular teacher. So she has to be with that mindfulness as well, and she has to give the empathy to the other children in the classroom as well.
So my next question is, can actually shadow teachers, they need to be paid by the parents. So can the parents themselves become shadow teachers in the classroom? Is that viable?
Yes, yes. Sometimes, you see, children with different disability conditions like autism spectrum may not easily accept the other individual. So in that case, a shadow teacher responsibility assumed by the parent himself or herself makes very sensible here. Again, one other reason for a shadow teacher responsibility to be assumed by the parent is that to cut down the cost. When a shadow teacher is appointed, her regular payment has to be done. Sometimes it might be burning the pockets of the parents, where then the parents can assume the responsibility, provided the parents are much educated and they are in the mood set to accept the responsibility here.
So do you recommend any training they have to undergo before becoming the shadow teacher of their own child?
Yeah. Thank you for
the
getting this.
parents.
Yeah. Such shadow teaching courses, a preparatory course, it has levels like preparatory course, advanced level 1 and advanced level 2 and 3. It goes in the series where after attending to the preparatory course, individuals can choose themselves to attend to the advanced level 1, 2 or 3, whatever, however it is all getting proceeded, because they need to understand the complete core of it, because shadow teaching involves child psychology, child developmental milestones, and assessment techniques. And it also involves the roles and responsibilities, how a shadow teacher should act in the classroom. What are all her responsibilities? All will be discussed in this program. The preparatory course will be a light on it, on a overall light thrown on all the areas.
So what will be the advantages of using a shadow teacher in the classroom, and what will be the disadvantages of using a shadow teacher in the classroom?
Advantages and disadvantages. Do you mean that?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. See, having a shadow teacher in the classroom is not just going to attend to the need of the child with the learning differences. It's going to make a great impact to the overall classroom. Why? Because number one, children are getting one other adult supervision in the classroom. Next, teaching learning materials that which can be prepared in collaboration with the shadow teacher makes the reach of the teaching learning materials to every child for all his learning needs to be met in a very beautiful manner. One teacher making teaching learning materials for every concept, it may take a long time and it may get biased, or it may having two, it makes good sense where the multiple intelligence level are addressed by both the teachers, where it addresses to the auditory learners, visual learners, kinesthetic learners. So it makes a great sense for a shadow teacher to be in the classroom, not just for the child with the learning difference, for every child.
So according to you, there are no disadvantages, ma'am, of having a shadow teacher.
I don't find there should be a disadvantage, because universal design for learning is a strategy that sounds very successful in implementing inclusive education. This says that the classroom has to be divided into 4 categories, where the teacher is not the teacher who is engaged with the blackboard or the digital board. A teacher makes learning happening. She just facilitates the learning happening, be it in any
Connects with the
grade, be it,
child and she makes it happen.
yeah,
So
she
the
connects with the
connection is
child.
very important.
Yes, yes. So the child connect is very important, where UDL makes a great sense, and for UDL to get into practice, yes, a shadow teacher makes her fruitful contribution here.
So in inclusive classroom setup, so every child, a special child especially, doesn't get much attention from the teacher. So does the shadow teacher make up for that? And gives individual attention to the child?
No, there is, I couldn't.
Ma'am, now can you hear me,
Please.
ma'am?
Yeah, yeah, please.
In the inclusive classroom setup, the special child, she doesn't get as much attention from the class teacher as they would like. So does the shadow teacher compensate for that care?
No, shadow teacher is not compensating. The shadow teacher is, what to say, liaising with the regular teacher, where if the child could not advocate himself, telling that I
Understand.
know the answer, the shadow teacher prompts to the regular teacher and make sure that this child also gets an opportunity to make his answer in the classroom. However it can be writing it on the board, or it can be just using his specs, or it can be in any non-verbal or verbal form. Well, children with spectrum, children in the spectrum, they are not they are not very much advocative to themselves. So here the shadow teacher, who really observes the child and for his potential, make sure that the child gets equal opportunity in the classroom. So she plays a very important role there.
One of our viewers, they want to know what is UDL.
UDL is Universal Design for Learning.
Okay, okay, okay. So the next question I have is, so these special children sort of get bullied in the class. So not only in the classroom, in the corridors, in the bathroom, everywhere they get bullied. So how the shadow teacher can protect the child or make him stand up for himself and dodge the bullies?
Yes. First, the coping strategy is like the peers in the school and in the classroom should be educated as how to treat and accept the child with the learning differences or any differences. So with this counseling, with this peer counseling, group counseling, and the families of other children to also to be counseled makes a great impact in acceptance of the child. Number two, the shadow teacher has to be behind the child who is prone for getting bullied. So in that sense, instead of stopping the other child, no, do not bully the child, she has to give an opportunity to understand what makes them feel hurt or sensitive for the way he is behaving to the other child. So children are always children. Punishments and the negative strokes may not help them to learn the lessons. Instead, making them clear for their learning would take them a long way to understand and accept the differences.
Actually, we teach the special children how to interact with normal children, but most of the schools, they do not teach normal children how to interact with these special children. So how do you think the shadow teacher sensitize everybody in the classroom towards the child?
Yeah, it happens very naturally, Umayal. Since I just give you one example here. If a child in the classroom is identified to be with autism, okay, and if the child is also understood that he is non-verbal, and when the regular teacher is giving every chance for the non-verbal child to make his answers on the board, coming near to the board and making his answers either by writing it on the board or by any form of writing answers are all accepted, then the other children come to a clear understanding that this child may not be very, if something is written, he takes it all for his understanding. Among the children, other children happens very naturally because it is modeled by the adults in the classroom. So the model behavior has to be exhibited or demonstrated only by the adults in the classroom who is there, the regular teacher and the shadow teacher. So acceptance by the peers just goes very naturally. It has to happen very naturally. The adults have to be very mindful there.
Actually, ma'am, I have seen the children are more accepting than the adults in the classroom.
Definitely, yes. 100%, 100%. It was very true.
So sensitizing the adults in the classroom only should be the need. Right.
Definitely, definitely. Here, I just want to give one word to the adults, both the regular teachers and the shadow teachers. Please do not have your understanding that this is a child with autism. He will do this, he may not do that. He is capable of doing this, he may not be capable of doing that. Don't have all those thoughts with yourselves, because a child is always a child first. He too will have all the possessive behaviors. He too will have all the seeking behaviors. What all a child is expected to have, every child with disability or no disability will have the same feelings. So when the emotions are met, then absolutely the adults get connected emotionally, and naturally the learning happens, the changes happens around us. It goes very smoothly there.
So this is one more question I have, ma'am. So what if the shadow teacher and the regular teacher, they don't get along? So will it have adverse effects on the child?
Definitely, definitely. If there is no collaborative relationship or cohesive relationship between the regular teacher and the shadow teacher, definitely the plight of the child with the difference is going to be very much difficult. So we have to find a person who is very much with a team spirit.
Who understands what happens in the class, and who understands the child, who understands the needs of the parents as well as the needs of the child. Definitely. And who's able to work along with the regular teacher in the class. So
Definitely.
are there any online courses that people can learn to become
Yeah.
shadow
Sarvae Jana
teachers?
consultancy offers online courses on shadow teaching. The preparatory course goes for 5 days, and the advanced level 1, 2, and 3 it goes for 10 days each. And that's how it's all.
So this is a certificate course, ma'am. You give them the certificate
Yeah. It is a
for these
certificate.
courses.
Yeah, it is a certificate course.
So we also heard that you are a motivational speaker. So how do you motivate children, and how do you motivate adults to be inclusive also?
To be inclusive also. Yes. It's a very real-time question here. See, when inclusive education is not very new concept to us at all. It has been happening eras and eras in our Bharat. Todakacharya, initially known as Anantagiri, is the disciple of Adi Shankara. Anantagiri was always late to class, and he also took all attempts to miss the class. But Adi Shankara never had to take the class without Anantagiri. And every other disciples in the Gurukulam had time to bully him and drag him. But Adi Shankara was very much to the point that Anandagiri was given all his comfort and all his opportunity to make himself better. With the blessings of Adi Shankara, he composed Todaka-ashtakam. And Todaka-ashtakam, however, how many ever Guru Ashtakams are there, Todaka-ashtakam is regarded to be the Guru Ashtakam recited everywhere. So, inclusive education is not,
I'm
it's
so
not
happy
new
to
to
hear
us.
this, and it is a new information to me. I have never heard this before. It is new information to me and all the viewers.
So it is not very new to us at all. We have been much including every child with every difference in our home, in our society, in our community. Is it not? We have seen people just roaming in the, yeah, so.
அந்த குருகுலம் கல்வி அப்படின்றதுல இருந்து இப்ப வந்து நம்ம ஸ்கூல் அப்படின்னு வந்ததுல இருந்தா நம்மளுக்கு இந்த டிஃபரன்சஸ் அதெல்லாம் நிறைய வந்திருக்கு. வந்து இப்ப வந்து இன்டர்நேஷனல் ஸ்கூல் இருக்கு, சிபிஎஸ்இ ஸ்கூல் ஸ்டேட் போர்ட் ஸ்கூல்ஸ் இருக்கு. ஸோ வந்து எந்த மாதிரி ஸ்கூல்ஸ்ல ஸ்பெஷல் நீட்ஸ் சில்ட்ரனுக்கு நல்ல ஒரு எஜுகேஷன் கிடைக்கும் அப்படின்னு நீங்க நினைக்கிறீங்க மேம்? பேசுறது
என்ன மாதிரி ஸ்கூல்ல இன்க்ளூசிவ் எஜுகேஷன்? கேக்குது, நான் பேசுறது கேக்குது. Yes. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible. It's just that Umayal's internet connection is gone for a toss. So if you could hear her.
Yes.
So I think she'll join us back in a few minutes. So her question, probably what she was trying to ask was, are there any government rules and guidelines that are given for shadow teachers yet?
As of now, there is no government rules, or the boards of education have also not mentioned anything about shadow teacher. Whereas all the boards of education have clearly mentioned that every school admitting children with special needs should have a special educator and a counselor. But there is no mention about the shadow teacher.
Okay, looks like I have to keep popping in and out because Umayal's internet is again gone. So ma'am, the shadow teacher program, when you mentioned that parents can also attend it, they should be trained to know that what is the role of the shadow teacher and how they can support the teacher there in school as well if they know what is the responsibility. Is there a fine line that we can draw that what she should not do, what shadow teacher is not supposed to do?
Yeah, shadow teachers should definitely not take every opportunity what the student is given. See, if the student is given opportunity to copy something from the board, since that the child could not do, the shadow teacher cannot take the opportunity to complete the notebook, complete the assignments, complete the project, nothing like that. That should not be done.
Shadow teachers are
the shadow
Yes,
teacher
yeah.
should.
Okay. Yeah, continue, ma'am, please. Yeah.
So shadow teachers should see that the child is given that opportunity where he can take all his potential to do what is all within his possibility limit. If the child is not going to get it copied from the blackboard, instead of copying it for himself, for him or her, the learning material has to be provided with all the modifications and adaptations. If the child could not copy it, a recorded version of it can be given where the child hears to it and makes the learning and makes the answer all in the oral form. If the challenge is with the writing, why should you challenge him over the writing? See where his strength is. If he could answer all orally, why not you accept his oral answers? This is very much accepted by all boards of education as well. So they can have all their answers put as in the oral form. They can have a scribe so that his answers are recorded in the written form. He can be given the digital version of making his answers. So that goes very easy with nowadays with children where they can use their laptops to answer their questions. So adaptations has to be made, but not the same pattern. The stereotypical way of making the learning happen should not be forced on the children, where that is going to puzzle them or perplex them.
Right, right. Your host, your beautiful host is back, and I will. I think I should just be around because her internet is still throwing up. So, okay. Now, one more question before Umayal sets her mobile and everything. See, shadow teacher and the original the teacher which is in school, the
Regular
class teacher, the regular teacher, and the parents. So when there's a PTM, do you suggest that it should be the three of them sitting together, or do you suggest that shadow teacher should be excluded out of the PTM? How do you suggest that PTM should happen when it is for the special needs child?
Yeah, definitely it should be with the shadow teacher. PTM has to go with the regular teacher, the shadow teacher, and the parent. Before going for the PTM, it has to be like IEP program planning. So there, the other rehabilitation professionals, if necessary, as the role for the child's development has also to be presented there, where the goals for the child is prioritized and executed in the fashion how it is all getting planned. Yeah.
Yeah, Umayya, you can take over.
Yes, ma'am.
சொல்லுங்க.
So எவ்வளவு வருஷமா நீங்க இந்த ட்ரைனிங்லாம் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கீங்க? How many years you are doing this shadow teacher training?
Yes, actually, I am in the field of rehabilitation and special education since 1998, and conducting such courses I have started recently now, after understanding the transformation, like from special education to remedial education, and now we are into this inclusive education.
Inclusive education.
Inclusive education. இந்த inclusive education வந்தது 2000ல தான் வந்தது. Where can I be in Tamil or better?
Yes,
can
ma'am.
I
Yes,
be in
ma'am.
English?
Ah.
So in the year 2000 we had SSA to be implemented, where it was just like a physical inclusion of children with the disabilities into the public schools, where then it was like only the special educators had their role. After understanding the condition that was very much understood by the regular teachers, like learning disability, the remedial educator, the role of remedial educators came into the scenario. We were just getting exposed for remedial education, and now where inclusive education is in complete execution, where all parents wish their children to be in the inclusive schools, we have shadow teachers. It's very much practical that a single teacher, a single regular teacher cannot handle the whole class of 20 or 20 to 40 in a classroom, along with one or two children, child with special needs. So definitely it becomes a practical need, a mandatory need for the presence of a shadow teacher. A shadow teacher is now the transformation from like special educator to remedial educator to shadow teacher. So it is a transformation.
So how much is the acceptance, ma'am? 1998 நீங்க பார்த்ததுக்கும் இப்போ 2022 நீங்க பார்க்கிறதுக்கும் acceptance of these children in the classroom எப்படி இருக்கு? How is it?
It's far better, and now people have come to a clear understanding, both children with both the parents, families with special needs children, as well regular teachers and school authorities. There is a good difference where they accept or where they see the amazing or the miraculous change with the children with the disability. When they are put in the inclusive classroom, the social learning happens around. Social learning happens around, and that boosts the child for to bring out his fullest potential. Again, I just want to remind one point here. We are not here to correct the child. Education is what to say.
We have to make the child feel accepted.
Yes. We have to. Education is just to bring the potential what is already present in the child to its fullest extent. So it is not to correct the child. One child may write very beautifully in his cursive writing. It's not necessary that every child should go with the cursive writing very beautifully as the other one is doing. One child might be doing a long jump very perfectly. The other child may not do that. So let us not go for the comparisons. Let us just go for the appreciation of the individual ability that is present with every child.
And their own talents.
Yeah, definitely. Let us appreciate the individual potentials and the talents that are with the children blessed by the Almighty.
So what is the parting message you want to give to all our viewers, ma'am?
Yeah. See that the child is appreciated for his strengths and potentials, and observing the challenges, take yourself a oath that these challenges are channelized to be strengthened to make the strengths even better. So as we just discussed earlier, if the child could not write his answers, do not challenge him over his challenge. Instead, channelize the challenge. Channelize it where how he can make his answers. We could make it all in the digital form. give him to make his answers in the digital form on his end. So that makes the child to take his confidence to the highest level. The self-esteem of the child goes high. The child makes himself to all his potentials with all the opportunities that is available around him. So let us all give the equal opportunity and the equality and equity for all children who are in the every school in every nook and corner of the globe.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for enlightening us about shadow teachers and how the role they're playing in the inclusive classrooms and how they help not only the special child but every child in the class. We learned, it was such an insightful session. We learned a lot from this session. Thank you so much. And we hope to do a workshop with you by the end of the month. Whenever you're free, it will be a closed room workshop. And people who want to register, please keep seeing our page. We'll be putting out a Google form to register for workshop by ma'am, which will be most likely held by the end of October. Thank you so much and have a great day and have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Umayal, for giving me this wonderful opportunity to just voice out all my vision and dreams. Thank you. Thank you, Shivali.
Thank you, Shivali.